Hey everybody, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Kairos, Tina. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that special stuff going on here. And I've been practicing. It's nice to meet you. I'm trying. Um, so don't forget to watch Flashback Mondays. We'll talk about Romantic Times Book Review. We're doing 2009 right now. Don't forget Star Trek Fridays. I recap the episodes. And also my If Then. If you like this author, then maybe you'll like that author. That is also Friday afternoons after Star Trek. And I've been looking to do a time travel If Then, and I'm still looking into it. But I spotted this book yesterday, and I was like, oh, because she's one of my authors, and I hadn't seen this book previously. And I was like, well, let me try it. And it was good. It was okay. I had some issues. We're talking A Stitch in Time by Kelly Armstrong. She does the other series. And she also does the sisters. Bitten, Stolen, that whole bunch with the sisters. And this it had a little jerky moment. The well, let me start from the beginning. Bronwyn, her aunt has died, and she's inherited the house, and the house is pretty much abandoned, and it sits up alone, all by itself. It's a big estate, and it's been kept intact. And she's inherited this house, and she goes there. And when she was a kid, and she used to visit, she used to have a ghost that was a friend, or she thought was a ghost. And because her relatives found out about it, they were going to ship her off to a hospital. So she never returned, and the ghost was upset with her. Unknowns to her, he was a real person. He was just in a different time period. And when she comes back to the house, stuff has occurred in his time period, and he is also upset with her. He's been mourning her. He's been waiting for her for about 10, 20 years now. And yes, ma'am. Come here. So he's been mourning her for a long time, and he won't marry, and he won't consider anybody else. He lives out in the country all by himself, and his name is William. And they don't give too much specifics with the timeline, and that kind of bothered because I didn't know when he was from. Um, the ladies of his time period were still wearing corsets, and they had an ice box. Um, so some of this they didn't have lighting. I was kind of, and they didn't have cars; they just had horses. So I'm not really sure what his time period was, and that kind of bothered me, not knowing generally exactly what his time period was. You're never actually told. Um, so, uh, oh, 2 centuries earlier. Okay, well, I didn't see the part. Um, so that had me confused. I'm not really sure what his time period was. But then when she gets back in and she starts seeing these people and they're warning her about murder and stuff like that, and she believes in, she finally figures out how to do the time travel thing. And it's just like, so the first few times are really, really short. Like she eases herself into it, and then she's abruptly out of it, and you're like, what? We were just having this situation. There's one situation where she's kissing him, and they go to fall back on the bed, and instead of falling back on the bed, she falls back in her own time. And it's just that was my little trouble with it, the abruptness of the change. It wasn't an easy, as the book went on, the lengths and periods of time they spent together became longer, but in the beginning it was like seconds or minutes, and the abrupt change bothered me. It was a little too abrupt, and I was having trouble following, and I guess that might have just been me. But it was just too abrupt, the changes. So that was an issue, and I was hoping because it turns out that there's been a murder, couple of murders, a couple of people have been murdered in the previous timeline, and some suspicion was that William had did it, and I was thinking, well, if this had been a Stephen King book, then yeah, because the finger is pointed at William quite a few times, and I was getting kind of worried that it would be William would be your suspect, but the finger gets pointed at several different directions before the end. Another little person, well, not person, but another little object, person, being, animal that joins Bron in her time jumping is a kitten. And the kitten was born in William's time period, but somehow comes through to Bronwyn's time period and is living alone with her, while the mommy is back in the 1800s with the siblings. So I'm hoping they do reunite mom and kid at some point, and the sibling with all the other siblings. So that's another thing that's kind of. And then she sees a woman ghost, and in a veil, who's warning her to run. She sees a little boy, and then she discovers some bones in a locked box. So it's just you have to. It gets better as the book goes along, and you get more information, and the time jumps become longer, and because it does. Because by the end, I was pretty good with it, but like I said in the beginning, it was a little jerky for me, and I was having trouble following it. But and I'm glad that she had Freya to talk to. So that was good too. So if I do a if then time thing, I'm gonna make a note to make sure I include this book, because it does do an actual time, like Claire Fraser and Outlander, and oh, there was another one just at the time top of my head, I can't remember now. But so I was making a list, and I just spotted this, and it's good. It was a really quick read. It flowed very quickly, except for the fact that we had the jerky back and forth, where she would be in the 1 minute with him kissing, like I said, and then in the next minute she'd be in her own time period. And I did not know this at the time when I finished it, but I looked. Apparently, me being a series person was overjoyed to discover this is the first book in a 4-book series. So we have a Stitch in Time, a Twist of Fate, a Turn of the Tide, and a Castle in the Air. So we'll be looking for those books. Hopefully they won't be e-books. They'll be physical books. Don't you hate that? When you find a series, it's good, and then you can't find it in a physical book. You can only find it in ebooks. 10, 15 years ago, it would have been a physical book regardless. So we'll see what happens with that. But so you'll have to read the book to find out if it's a happily ever after with William, and if they solve the mystery of the murder. See, I have mentioned this previously, that I'm in it for a good love story, but there's got to be something else. There's got to be a mystery or a puzzle to solve or something like that. I'm not in it just for the character angst, the romantic relationship angst. I've got to have additional stuff. And this had the additional stuff of the murder mysteries, her investigating the house, her investigating William and if he was a real person and his environment, the whole 9 yards. And she discovers, yes, these were real people, and yes, these events happened, etc. So it's a good book. So you'll have to discover who really was the murderer, who really done it. If she figures out who the lady in the veil is and who the kid in the box is, and if William is the one who did it, or will she have a happily ever after with William? So please hit the like and subscribe. I appreciate it. As of this taping, I have yet to hit 200. I've been trying to hit 200 for a year and a half now. I was up to 170 last September. As you can tell, I haven't gotten very far, and every time I get 5 or 6 subscribers, 10 of you unsubscribe. But those of you who have subscribed, I really appreciate it, and I hope you will check out my other, we're doing Victoria Thompson at this juncture, and we are doing the end of James Patterson's Woman Murder Club. We've got Flashback Mondays, Star Trek Fridays, and If Then Fridays. So please check those out, and please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you.